I grew up at a time in Pittsburgh where the Steelers brought a lot of pride back to that city.
I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in a city, in a district of the city called Oakland.
Well, I was fortunate because I grew up outside of Pittsburgh, and I watched Bradshaw and the Steelers, go through their Super Bowl runs.
I was very lucky as a young kid to watch that, dynasty of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the great players and Hall of Famers that they had.
Really enjoyed watching them play, and still a Steeler fan today.
For a young kid loving football, growing up in Pittsburgh, it was pretty cool.
It was a blue-collar way of living, a blue-collar way of playing the game of football that just resonated with everybody in that city, and it certainly resonated with me. I graduated high school in 1975. You learn that winning the game is the most important thing.
Each single member of the Steelers had different personalities.
Watching Jack Lambert, watching Terry Bradshaw throw the ball to Lynn Swann, Franco Harris, but you see Rocky Bleier leading the way, Jack Ham, and then Joe Green, Ernie Holmes, Dwight White, L.C. Greenwood. Mel Blount, who looks like he could even play today.
Intercepted by Blount at the 20.
Then you always had the Frenchie Fuqua, who had to fish in his shoes.
Even though they have different personalities, when that chemistry meshed, it was unstoppable.
Pittsburgh is on the board, the crowd is on its feet, and the Steelers lead. Nice pass by Bradshaw, who put it right on the money.
That was one heck of a defense, and they would set the tone for the game.
Hey, I'm going to hit it hard.
They are the best secondary in football, the best three linebackers in football.
Well, you got to start out with Lambert. He's the middle linebacker. He's there and he's fired up, man, and he's looking like he wants you,
So let's get to 6.
Steel Curtain's another deal. Their entire defense were all pros.
A bad day for a quarterback here today.
But the catalyst was Mean Joe Green. And he was mean. I love Joe Green.
I never saw Joe mean in a sense. He was a nice man, a nice personality, except against the guy he was going against.
Let's go, Joe. Let's go, T, baby.
These guys are veterans of this game. They were here last year, and they know how to take it in stride.
Super Bowl 10, defense got us there, and defense carried us.
Roy Jarella misses the kick, right? And I'll never forget Cliff Harris coming over from the Cowboys. And all of a sudden, he's like tapping Jarella on the head, and then Jack Lambert just loses it. Wants him out of the game for taunting Roy Jarella. From that moment on, he goes insane.
Now watch Lambert, number 58. Man, they want the Cowboys bad.
Terry and Lynn hooked up for 3-4 passes in that game that could stand out as being outstanding passes.
Taking point was Lynn Swann, and they roll a good catch. And Swann beat the defensive back, Mark Washington, on a great play. Now he fires for the bomb, and Lynn Swann going for it. Swann pulls it in for a touchdown.
Terry said, you can lose with it, but you can't win without it. And that stuck.
Steelers repeat.
They were very, very good. What are you going to say, man? I mean, they were the best.
Bart Starr, one of the most accurate passers ever to perform in the National Football League, appears headed for another banner season. Coaching the Packers has been an unequal thrill for Vince Lombardi, who has at his disposal perhaps the greatest football team ever assembled.
'62, we were maybe at our peak. Horning was in great shape. Taylor was in great shape. Bart had taken over the team. We were experienced at this point, and we just were really well drilled.
Only as good as the leg.
I believe we'll have a nucleus about which we can build a future.
It was probably the peak health and performance of most of the team.
Starr rolls out and rolls in with another touchdown. Starr continues to mock the Bears' defense.
The Lombardi days with the Packers, it just seemed like that was always the team to beat, that they were perennial winners.
We just had a great bunch of football players, and we were determined to play hard and win.
A year ago, these two teams met at Green Bay for the championship. That day belonged to the Packers, 37-0. Now the Giant fans want revenge.
60, we got beat in Philadelphia by the Eagles, Chuck Bednarik. 61, we won, but 62, we were excited about playing in the championship game.
Well, we've got a jam-packed Yankee Stadium here this afternoon. It's cold, but they've seen quite a football game.
That was a game when Jimmy Taylor and Sam Huff, the great Giant linebacker, what Huff did to Taylor in that game, you wouldn't believe it.
Sam Huff applies the clincher.
It was like playing on concrete. The field was frozen like a rock. Taylor in the first half split his tongue wide open, had a huge gash on his arm, and Taylor was unbelievable. Oh, was he tough.
This is rough, hard football, and that deep freeze in Yankee Stadium doesn't make it any softer.
Well, that I just carried the ball and got hit a lot, and we beat the New York Giants in Yankee Stadium.
Jim Taylor cracking over the middle. And so for the second straight year, the Green Bay Packers have won the National Football League championship.
The test of that team is once they make it to the top, to stay there. And this has been the greatest lesson I've learned in playing for Coach Lombardi.
My all-time favorite NFL films was on the '76 Steelers, and it was talking about they were going for their third ring.
The season began in Oakland, California against the arch-rival Raiders.
All was running well like a well-oiled machine, and then came the Oakland Raiders.
In 1976, we won this ring, and you look at it and you remember all those players. And not only the big stars, but you remember them all.
Kenny Stabler, Freddie Biletnikoff, Cliff Branch, Clarence Davis, Otis Sistrunk, Ted Hendricks, Dave Dalby, Matusek. Shoot, I keep going. The '76 Raiders, my all-time favorite team.
It was our year. Our trainers were right. Our doctors were right. Our coaches were right. Our cheerleaders were right. Everything was right in 1976.
You know, we haven't won it, but we really feel that that's ahead.
Coach John Madden's Raiders fought back courageously, defying adversity, time, and the Steelers.
This was our year. Things were going right for us. We had some crazy, crazy wins.
But it's caught by Branch between two men. They fall at the 50. He's off to the races. Touchdown, Raiders. The Oaklanders continue to live by the skins of their collective teeth.
The games in '76 were tight, and Madden just kept us focused.
We've been here before, and damn it, this is a hurdle that we got to get over.
We only lost one game the whole season. Nobody even talks about that.
Kenny Stabler, touchdown Oakland!
And then we finally broke through against the Steelers.
2 minutes to the Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl really exists for the Oakland Raiders. All along, they've been thinking it was somebody's crazy illusion.
Going to the Super Bowl.
John Madden told our team this will be the single biggest event in any of your lives as long as you win.
In 1976, we played the Oakland Raiders in the Super Bowl. The Raiders were certainly one of the best teams that you ever saw.
Yasha Heifetz never played a violin with more dexterity than Kenny Stabler is playing the Minnesota Viking defense.
It's a huge thing if you win. It's like a fraternity you get in. You get a Super Bowl ring. Not many of these things out there, but you gotta win. And then 5 years later, 10 years later, 15 years later, 20, 40 years later, people still talking about it.
He's going all the way! Old Man Willie! Touchdown, Raiders!
John, how's it feel?
Yeah, great. Waited a long time for it.
We're number one. That's it. We're number one. We didn't have a lot of holes. You know, whatever you had to do, we could do.
John Madden's grin is from ear to ear. He looks like a slit watermelon.
The Oakland Raiders were magnificent on that football field today. Super champions.
If you tell me that some Super Bowl team is better than ours, I'll take them and go play them.
I mean, the best team that I ever saw for a single season is that New England team of 2007.
My goodness, look at what they've done. Undefeated, 16-0.
Because I just thought that they were far and away, almost every week when they took the field, able to win any game they played by 4 touchdowns.
New England's pretty darn good, man. I'll tell you what, best I've ever seen.
Masterful. What a statement this is. And the Patriots remain undefeated. Another jaw-dropping performance by the Patriot offense. 56-10. Mercy me. Looking, fires, end zone, touchdown.
He played the Steelers defense like a violin.
Championship football. Direct snap to Brady. Looks, fires, touchdown! Randy Moss! Touchdown, Randy Moss!
It was absolutely amazing. They get him for a 4th-round draft pick from Oakland, and he has one of the best years a wide receiver ever has. More touchdowns than any wide receiver ever has in a season.
Fires it to the right, down the right sideline, and caught at the 20-15, 10-5, touchdown, Patriots! For Randy Moss, touchdown reception number 23.
I'm not entirely sure they had any weakness. Most teams have 1 or 2 strengths and they build on. They had a great D-line. They had great linebackers. They had a great secondary. They had great scheme on defense. They had the best quarterback. They had probably the best offensive line that people don't realize. That was their best offensive line in the Tom Brady era. And then they had Randy Moss and Wes Welker.
Randy Moss, touchdown Wes Welker!
It's pretty silly. This team was as complete a football team from top to bottom, I think, that you'll ever see.
This is like a midget league team stumbled onto the field against the big boys.
It's what the Patriots do best.
I guess they call it the Patriots way. The Patriots way. Do your job.
Just do your job. All right, don't try to make too much out of it. Just do your job.
If you're not a New England fan, it's so annoying.
How we feel about making NFL history?
We're only moments away from the kickoff and the start of Super Bowl 42.
The one thing about football, though, is if you have 3, 4 pass rushers on the other side, those guys can disrupt the game faster than anything. That game played out that way.
Right up the gut. That's what Brady does not want to see pressure.
The Patriots see their undefeated season go up in smoke.
I mean, that Patriots team still might be the best team in NFL history.
To me, it's crazy to say that the team that didn't win the Super Bowl would be the Patriots' best team, but for me, it was the 07 years.
I don't get really caught up too much in basically, well, if they lost the last game, they can't be the greatest team. I understand that, and it sounds silly, but in the time that I've covered football, I thought that year that team was the best team for a single season that I saw.
If you went through the year virtually injury-free and did not make the playoffs, would that be a crushing blow?
It won't happen. We'll be in the playoffs.
The greatest team I ever saw play, 92 Cowboys. I don't know if you can line anybody else up and beat them.
Pure depth. That 92 team was full of great talent.
We don't let each other down. We're not letting each other down. Not different, all right? Let's go, everybody. Let's go.
We expected to have a good football team, but that particular year, we had the youngest team in the league.
Don't be pretty, be good. Good quickness there. Good quickness.
When you have a young team, they're going to make mistakes.
Keep your head in the ball game. Let's go.
But we had enough talent to overcome those mistakes.
From the eras of our other dynasties, this was the beginning of the new one.
Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin, everybody became aware of how big those guys were going to be.
Deep ball on a hitch to Irvin, and it's caught. Touchdown! It couldn't have been thrown any better. And he's got the NFL rushing championship for the second year in a row.
The offensive line was amazing.
This offensive line of the Cowboys is manhandling.
When you show up in Cowboy Stadium, people dreaded to see that front. And we were very good. Think about how big our Great Wall was and how small I was. I could hide. And once they got their hands on them, it was a wrap.
That's football right there. Running the mother ball.
Of course, Charles Haley, when we were able to trade for him, he gave us the pass rush that we needed.
What a great pass rush by Charles Haley.
We knew we were a good team, but we really didn't know how good we were. Charles Haley really made the difference for our football team in raising the expectation for all of us of what it took to be a champion.
Cowboy defense, y'all don't forget about them boys, okay?
When you have that kind of depth, first string and second string players, and put that kind of pressure on offenses, it makes it tough.
Dallas Cowboy defense, unconscious.
Going into the NFC Championship game, I remember everyone saying that the Cowboys are too young.
Emmitt Smith carries it in.
The 49ers are too experienced.
The Cowboys are going to a Super Bowl.
That game in itself propelled us to where we needed to be as an organization.
How about them Cowboys?
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Super Bowl 27.
We just had this belief. That was our very first year going to the Super Bowl. It's awfully bright out here. Oh, yeah. A lot of damn people, huh? Hey, they come to see you, though.
I knew we would win that football game. We're going to have a fight through that first quarter, but we'll get them, and then they'll start turning the ball over, and we'll pour it on.
And the turnovers are telling the story. Here's Haley, hit him and picked off in the air. Jimmy Jones intercepts for a touchdown. Jimmy Johnson's taking his team from the absolute worst to the absolute best. Your Cowboys are the champions.
Yeah.